I was lucky enough to be asked to do a job in Rome recently. Now I had to film all over the city, day and night. Now I'd filmed in Rome a few times before, and this time I wanted to do something different. I didn't want my shots just to look like static shots, maybe a pan or a tilt here. Not that there's anything wrong with that sort of footage, but I knew that I could do a lot more. This is the CAME-Single it's called. Now, I bought this gimbal specifically for two reasons. One, a colleague and good friend of mine had already bought one. I was so impressed with the footage that he got using the CAME-Single that I came back and I bought one. Now, I have to say, working with a gimbal, it does obviously do what its primary function is, which is it smooths everything out. But your job, what you have to do is you have to keep it steady. If you're all over the place, it's not going to do the job. So as steady as you can, you do your moves and you'll find you get beautiful stuff. One of the reasons I bought this gimbal is because basically, as I said, it's just a stick. It's not a two-handed device unless you decide to add all the bits. And it means I can put it on the end of a monopod and basically I can do amazing stuff. So from my point of view, what I've got with the gimbal is a few things. One, it's a crane. I can go up, I can go down. It's a dolly. I can basically simulate a tracking dolly from going from side to side, and beyond that I can run forward like that. So basically I can move in three-dimensional space with a stabilized device, and to me that's absolutely fantastic. So for my filming in Rome, I basically did everything off this gimbal. Now I tended to use two lenses. One is the Panasonic 7-14. If we do the equivalent focal length field of view in full frame 35, that will be 14-28. The gimbal is actually good at stabilizing anything within that range. And then I've got the next lens up from this one, which is a 12-35. And the 12-35 is absolutely fantastic, and I can use it on the gimbal as well. So you don't have to be super wide, but it helps a lot for the shots. Just a little bit on the operation of the gimbal. You've got a button at the front and you can use that to pan the camera left and right. You can tilt up or you can tilt down, which is actually quite interesting in itself because it's like this is a mini hothead, a mini controllable camera with a basically external mounting system, and you can buy a remote control, which I don't have. So if you wanted to mount this and just remote control your camera, you could. Now that's not my use. My use is as a gimbal, but even so, the possibility is there. So you've got different modes of operation. Now if I press it once, that just puts it into the follow, pan, tilt. And what that means is the camera will go where I go. If I move in a direction, it tends to stay front on. So as you can see, I move around and the camera follows the direction I'm going in. In fact, if I do a complete turn like this, you'll see that the camera, by the time I get there, has turned around. Now if I put it into the third position, and you'll hear it beep, there we go. Now watch. See? It's a very different result. The camera basically stays in one position while you turn. But from my point of view, if I'm following someone, I put it in the first position. And that means as I turn, the camera will follow. Now, if I put it into the second position, This is what I sort of think of as a tracking dolly mode. Okay, now this is a beautiful shot that I've been able to do. Just off the monopod, I just go from side to side and it stays exactly steady. It's like a tracking shot. And you can do it very slowly with a beautiful result, or you can do it more quickly if you choose. It's really up to you. But I personally find that great. That is how I get my tracking shots using this device. And the results speak. They're great. But you got to think about it in 3D space. One, you can go forward, backwards, up, down, side to side, and you get a different result each time you move it. That's setting 1. Watching the gimbal, see what it does as I get down lower. See, it's tilting down and then it tilts back up. All right, and then if I go twice, it'll be dead level, absolutely solid level, doesn't change. That's great for a crane shot, I find. It's actually very good. So that's a little bit about operation of this device. I would say that I've got some of the best stuff I've ever filmed using the CAME-Single. Now the roam footage says it all. These are moving shots that, I mean, I got coverage that I couldn't have got in any other way. The job turned out great. I did shoot a little bit, like I mentioned before. I could just do a static shot, just put the camera like that, change the lens, whatever I want on it, and I could lock it off and just hold it, and it's steady enough to shoot static shots. But the real magic is the moving shots. And I'll finish off with a bunch of moving shots. You can see the results, and I got to make one more point, and this is an important one. I said it already, that you need to be as stable as you can while you're operating this. You as the operator need to actually have a lot of skill and move nice and steady without terrible movements and bumps and jars. Now of course the stabilizer, the gimbal, the job of the gimbal is to make it as smooth as possible, but you moving slowly and steady in combination with what the gimbal offers, that's what gives you the magic shots. And to take it further, when you're in the edit suite, there are some times when you still need a bit of additional stabilization, so by all means add it in the editor that you're working with. I did in Final Cut Pro 10. Now don't get the idea that everything you've seen has been stabilized in my edit suite beyond what the gimbal does. And it depends what sort of shot you're doing. If you're doing a tracking shot from side to side, or even, you know, just moving like that, and you move across, okay? Now, that sort of thing will come out very stable. But if you're moving forward or doing some of the running shots that I did, now this was quite a hard shot to do. I'm running along low to the ground with the camera basically like that, holding my arm, so it's really hard to do. There was quite a lot of vibration, so you can imagine how I was running along like that, screaming along to the ground. It's actually quite hard on my arms. So it's naturally just the force of you running actually causes some vibration, and there's only so much that the gimbal can do. It's a wonderful device, but it's limited like everything. So in the edit suite, I put on a bit of stabilization, and it just gave it that extra little bit that it needed between the gimbal, me doing the best I can to hold it steady, running along, and then the stabilization in Final Cut 10. That's what created the absolute magic on those really difficult shots. Like I said, you don't have to stabilize everything. The gimbal does a wonderful job, but there are times when it needs a bit more. So in your editor, press that stabilization button. I have to say it's only a small camera with a small gimbal, but by the time you're carrying the camera monopod and you're running around all day and you maybe got a few extra lenses with you, the weight actually really adds up. Now, you can see most of these gimbals can't take heavy cameras, so you need a lightweight camera, which is why I went for the Micro Four Thirds system. But just that in your arm, once you've done that all day, you will get to feel it. So you don't have to have the monopod at all. I mean, I can get rid of that, and that will easily give me a lighter piece to carry around. But I like the monopod. It gives a bit more stability, and it gives me the height. Obviously, I can hold this up as high or low as I like, but stick it on the end of a monopod, you can do anything. All right, thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you the next time. Now, this is the Optimus, which is the upgraded model. This is the next model that CAME-TV have come out with after the Single. The wonderful advantage of this one, the Optimus, over the Single, is you can rotate it 360 degrees and basically use it in underslung mode. And that creates a huge advantage when you're going low to the ground or even across a table or whatever. It's a lot easier on your back when you've got this thing on the end of a monopod and you're running with it to get those shots. I can run along like that, and it's a much easier way to hold it. Just have a look at the back of it. It's got a battery that you can take off. So the Single has the battery built into the handle, but it's still nice to be able to change the battery. Just means that you've got the option to shoot even longer if you need to.